biggest problem Nashville has. One thing they do know and do know well is how to write the same song over and over. Any change in the music industry in general is consumer driven, not industry driven.
What are the sort of things that you're looking at that artists can be working on now for things to kind of take off?
If you don't have confidence, you're not going to move any farther than where you probably are right now.
Welcome to the Stay Independent podcast, a space to share tangible and actionable ways for artists to stay independent. Our guest today began his over 5-decade music career at the age of 16, skipping family vacations to do anything they let him do at WPFB in Middletown, Ohio. His early radio journey continued through community college radio before joining WSAI Cincinnati, where he started by driving their chicken mascot around town as the station transitioned from top 40 to country. He moved all over the country, working in every level of terrestrial radio before landing in Nashville in 2010, where he transformed SiriusXM's The Highway into a career-launching platform for artists like Florida Georgia Line and Kelsea Ballerini. In 2015, he joined Spotify as global head of country music programming, building their hot country brand to 6 million followers and 5 billion streams by 2020. His board service with the Country Music Association and Academy of Country Music, along with international industry awards, cement his status as one of country music's most influential tastemakers. Now running his own consulting firm, he continues shaping the future of country music. But more importantly, I've been fascinated and truly blessed in my personal relationship with our guest over the last 5 years. I've been blessed to learn more about the way he approaches and thinks about his work in the music industry. He's persevered and thrived through a 55-year career in the music industry in a way that very few, if any, have been able to replicate. And I'm excited to learn more about that today. Welcome to the podcast, John Marks.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks. Wow, you did your homework, brother. That's pretty good.
ChatGPT.
I'll try to learn that one of these days. Just kidding. It's my best friend.
Yeah, it's definitely a helpful tool and an interesting one to do research on anyone, really.
It's the innovation of today that everybody wants to cuss. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So 55 years. What do you feel like keeps you in the quote unquote game for 55 years? How can you care about something for that long?
Well, that is a good question. I think the only way I can answer it is that doing this is from the time I became sentient in my memory is all I've ever wanted to do. And even in moments of being disgruntled with business industry, my own place and wherever it is, the bottom line was I just really can't imagine myself doing anything else, and that's where it resides today. That's where it began, and it's just one of those things where it's just been my walk of life and will be until I don't do it anymore.
What do you think interested you at such a young age that you still find, maybe even like a youthful energy or interest in?
It just was flat, simple to music. When I was in the impressionable years, it was one of those things, and I've told this before, I think, is that the most memorable, impactful thing that happened to me in music and made me decide that's what I want to do for a living was when I was at the YMCA gymnasium, when I was with a bunch of kids just shooting hoops. I can't even remember how old I was. And this drum beat and guitar beat of Oh Pretty Woman. And the minute that started, I said, holy cow, I'm in. And from literally that moment was when I decided I want to do something in the music business. I don't know what. I don't even remember how old I was. And I'm happy to say that it's what I continue to do today.
What do you think attracted you to radio as opposed to being an artist or going like a different direction in the music industry?
I had fancied being an artist, but I didn't have a voice. I did not have the aptitude or work ethic to learn an instrument. I tried, and it was just too boring for me, quite frankly, to learn notes and scales and all of that stuff. So I gave it I won't say a run. I gave it a slow walk and tried that element of it. And, what developing young male did not want to play guitar for the girls, So, but, I had that infection too for a time. But it just came to a point where if it was going to be the music industry, and if it was going to be music that it was apparent that I would follow in the other side of the music business, and in terms of I'll call it product. I hate that word, but on the product side, not the creation side.
Yeah. What do you think has changed in you since, if anything, since 16 years old in the music industry to now a 55-year-old veteran of the music industry? What do you feel like what's changed or what hasn't changed?
Well, I think the creative spirit is out there, probably more plentiful than it was back then. In terms of music, songwriting, and all of that, I think the question is how can we monetize it in this current daytime economy state of the music business? And the conundrum is the opportunities have never been so large for individuals who have that creative bug to be able to put their music out and find an audience. The problem with it is that you can put your music out and you have to find your own audience, and it's a very difficult, time-consuming, frustrating thing. Back in the day, you had a very compacted entertainment landscape where, hopefully you got a label deal and a manager, you got a booking agent, you put out a single, you went on tour, and the rest was history. Not quite that way anymore. And basically, every artist is a small business, and they have to look at building themselves into a large business. And there's precious little help along the way, quite frankly.
Yeah. So do you feel like that's what do you think your perspective on the music, like how your interaction with the music industry, how has that changed? Like, has your focus changed? Like maybe before with radio, you were like, this is the platform that they need to get onto to break or be, like Florida Georgia Line. Like this is a way that we can turn them into a successful artist. And how has that changed, if at all?
Oh, it's changed dramatic. It's just totally changed and continues to totally change today. Back in the day, there was only one avenue. That was radio, and that's all you had. Then, for me anyway, that template and that platform was exactly that. And so the only way an artist could break through would be to find a following in their local market, get discovered by somebody. Back in those days, A&R, record label representatives would go to the clubs, scour the country for acts to develop. That doesn't happen anymore. And find a region of music that is really turning out great artistry, like back in the day, in Detroit, it was Bob Seger, James Gang, Motown. In Memphis, it was Stax and the blues. L.A. was pop rock and psychedelic rock. Every region had its unique imprint, and so a lot of music and songs broke out of those individual individual regions. and made national impact. And you know, that's how it was then. And today, if an artist wants to do that, it's a different kind of a formula, but really the same. You gotta, you need to, kind of plant a flag, build an audience, perhaps in a region, and then build out nationally, then worldwide, build your streams. It's really interesting how the past has become present again in some of those fundamentals, and perhaps how many artists can find a way to break out and develop their audiences, out of their home regions where there's already, you would think a favorable outlook on what their efforts are and what they're trying to do.
You have the perspective of a 55-year career. What do you feel like has changed the most in that time in the music industry?
Just the number of artists who are out there, because that's available now. You can write, create, distribute, send out your own music, and there has probably never been any more people out there today creating music than there are right now at this very time. The problem with that is you have about 2 or 3% of the artists who are creating music today who are controlling about 80 or 90% of the music consumption. So when you have that compressed pyramid, you have a very deep occupied, middle to bottom pyramid that's very crowded. People who are trying to get noticed, trying to get their music out, trying to get recognized, and so the crowd is very large and deep, and it's hard to make one's way through all of that. And that's what people need to be able to face and understand. And it's like you have to have the heart for it. You have to have the grits and determination for it. If you don't, if you're just wanting to be a hobbyist, go ahead, be a hobbyist. But you just can't wait for the Starbus to pull up and hop on. It's a really truly a seed roots to fruition that's really needs to be done by the individual artist and whatever team they assemble along the way.
You're talking about having the heart to find success as an artist. What do you think are the things that you identify as that heart?
Well, I just think the first and foremost thing that you have to do is have ultimate confidence that you're going to go somewhere and do something. You know it. If you don't have confidence, it won't take long to knock you out of kilter, because, look at all of the obstacles that are in your way with social media, getting your music out, fans, trying to get noticed by opinion leaders, all of the rest, and bad reviews, snarky comments from fans, all of that stuff. And if you're at all sensitive, and if you're at all nervous about it, or don't think you can look into the eye of the tiger, it's not going to be good for you, because you just have to have the confidence and be intrepid, damn the torpedoes, all of those cliches. But it's true that you just have to just dog your way through it, and be determined. And if you're not, you're not going to move any farther than where you probably are right now.
If you don't have confidence as an artist, what are the things that you can do to find it?
Well, I think you just have to have it. But, of course, if you have a good song and it's responded to, that certainly is a confidence boost to anybody who's out there trying to make music. But, it's just that you just got to have the desire from within, period. None of that other stuff really matters, actually. I think that even if you don't have a requisite amount of talent, if you have confidence and you have drive, and you are doggedly determined in doing what you're going to do, I even think that even if you're not the most supremely talented person on the planet, you can find your way and build your audience and do something with it. And I think that, that's really the true difference in the people I meet along the way is confidence or lack of it, determination or lack of it, work ethic or lack of it, and really where I'm working with artists right now in their stages of development, if they don't have that, if they don't have the confidence, they don't have the drive, they don't have the work ethic, it's like, and I'm meeting people, at ground zero or just a shade above, and if they don't have those pieces of tools in their box, I'm not going to say they should, I would never say they should give up, but, you really have to, this is for you to work at, not for the record label, not for the management, not for me. It's for you to do the work. And that's really, I think, what scares, a lot of people away from it because, there's a culture of especially in Nashville, where, hey, I'll just get a record label deal, and they'll do my socials, they'll do my touring, they'll do this and that, and all I got to do is show up, and that's not true either anymore, by the way. But I think that there's still a culture, even in today's youthful developing artists. There are many people who still suffer from that delusion, sadly.
Is there an example from your time across your career where you identified that confidence in an artist? What did it look like, and maybe why do you think that they had it?
Well, I'll just you mentioned them at the top of our get together is Florida Georgia Line. They were impressive from the minute I met them. They had, when I met them, I was at SiriusXM. They were hounding me, basically. Hey, we want a meeting, and all that. And finally, they hounded me successfully because they didn't hound me excessively. But, they finally convinced me to sit down and have a meeting. Their publicist, Jensen Sussman at the time, Joey Moy, the producer, and others, they had a team. They had a self-pressed CD, which I still have, one of the few that I retain, and they came in and they had their shit together. As an artist, they had vision on their music and they were able to talk about their music. Their team talked about what they've been doing and what they've been up to in terms of their henceforth playing clubs in the Florida Georgia line. And that was their roots and their playing and what they were doing to develop their artistry. And they had a 5 CD set that we sat down and listened to, and it was, and I'll say at the time it was good enough to say, hey, yeah, let's give this a try. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've heard in my lifetime. It wasn't any of that. It was decidedly and uniquely different, their music approach, from what was going on at the time. I liked it. I didn't know if it would do anything, but it was uniquely different, well produced, well written, well sung, self-pressed. It wasn't, and so, and I figured, what the heck? These guys are smart. They've got a team around them. They've been working to build their way into a moment, if you will, and they seemed like they had done a lot of the preparatory work to be ready for a moment if it came their way, and that's what essentially impressed me was that first meeting.
That's really interesting. I'm not, knowing you personally, not surprised to hear you underplay your involvement in their success, because I feel like your approach to the music industry, your involvement in it, you have a great humility in the way that you approach it. I think there's something that you were doing long before Florida Georgia Line and long past Florida Georgia Line that made that moment through SiriusXM with Florida Georgia Line become the moment that it did for FGL. What was your approach in, kind of giving an artist a shot? Like, what were the sorts of things that you were looking for that, could have been FGL, could have been, maybe you did this with countless other artists that you thought just as highly of, it just didn't work. Like,
well, there's a lot of those.
Right.
And and I'll thank you for the accreditation. But the thing that I had that really not many other people did have through God's grace was I had laboratories to try things out on. I mean, and yeah, I had to hear something in some music to be able to say, hey, let's give this a try on SiriusXM or even Spotify for that matter. And the thing of it was like it was a laboratory, so I could put it into the real world and get feedback from sales, from listeners, from research, from the tools that we had available to us at the time, and be able to ascertain, from fan feedback, what was working and what wasn't. And the thing that was really the unequivocal element in doing that, because I had license to be able to try all kinds of different music and sounds and sonics and production styles, writing styles. The hip hop country, I was playing that a long time ago. But that stuff was coming out, and we were trying it out on those platforms, and the research would bear out what was working and what wasn't. And so it helped me look smarter, because I was able to eliminate songs that wasn't working quicker, and keep on the songs that were lighting it up. And I think that that one, and when I say that one, Florida Georgia Line and Cruise was the one that I won't say lit up. It was nuclear in how it all reacted after that first set of plays on SiriusXM and the highway, and that song never looked back. I mean, that's I don't recall a song like that ever. I mean, it was like, okay, like stick your you're at bat, you close your eyes, you swing the ball, and kaboom. It's like, but I've never seen one like that react ever again, except when I was at Spotify Hurricane, by Luke Combs. That was another one that was in that neighborhood of reactivity. But we found a lot of great songs and helped unearth a number of artists along the way. And it was because I had the license to be able to try different things, try different sounds, and look at the feedback from the fans, and look at sales data at the time when it mattered, and it was really great to have not only that to say, I know you guys, you people are good. It didn't matter for male, female. I was equally in the, looking for females as well. But it was just, we had a way to be able to ascertain what was working and what wasn't. So, I was helpful to the artists by helping them fail faster and say, hey, okay, why don't you try this, because this one's not working, and why don't you rework a little bit of this or that. It got to a point where I could help people almost as well, through the songs that weren't working, along with the songs that were in our research.
So you're saying that you at SiriusXM and with the success of FGL and artists like that, had a sort of a lab to test what worked or didn't work. Do you feel like there is an equivalent tool available to independent artists today?
I'll say not that I know of. I mean, closest would be probably TikTok right now. It's one where you can toss it out to the fans and get fan feedback fast. Instagram, perhaps. And so I think probably the social media outlets are performing somewhat that function. And it's even gotten to the point where the streaming platforms look at those elements more than they probably look at some of their own research. They have their own research tools available to them, but all that kind of comes into play with them as well. So, and that's why that emphasis is always trying to get that social media virality.
Do you feel like, so you had this lab of tools to ascertain whether a song would work or not for an artist, and you feel like, are you saying that you feel like that's changed to where now, if you were sitting in that same position back at SiriusXM or at Spotify, the tool maybe that you'd be using is TikTok or social algorithms?
It probably would, but when the process started evolving, a lot of those platforms decided to get out of the discovery business, and that was I loved working with. I got a chance to work with all of the artists in country music, star and developing, and I loved working with all of them, and it was great. But my heart was always in the developing category and trying to, help a brother and sister up and try and find a way to, lift the ceiling a little bit for them. And that was always my heart, and what really was my root of satisfaction in those areas was finding something like that, like Florida Georgia Line or Old Dominion or Luke Combs or whoever. I'm not saying I discovered them. All I'm saying is, they were artists that I was able to play and saw great reactions from. And I think that's where I was saying that was soul satisfying for me, because it's a holy cow, these people are taking a rocket ship ride, and it was great to watch. And all of those folks were prepared and ready to take advantage of the opportunity. And that's really the second key. You can, any blind squirrel can find the acorn, and you can go viral once and get yourself a record deal, but good luck finding number two. It's a roll of the dice on how that music rolls, and I think I kind of still mourn the loss of those platforms in that regard,
Right.
because that was my fun, and I was really looking at finding and breaking new artists through these tools, and the powers that be elected to move off of that into other areas of their music forms.
For an artist like FGL or Old Dominion or Luke Combs, some of these artists that you've really partner with in the different positions that you've had to find success, what do you feel like, what's a baseline for that type of artist just to get into the room? Like what are the sort of things that you're looking at that artists can be working on now as an independent artist to make sure they are ready for things to kind of take off? What are you looking for on their end before there's kind of buy-in from someone that can really help them take it to the next level?
Well, it's just first and foremost knowing just who the heck they are. The most lacking thing I find in developing artists is they don't really know who they are, what their, I'll call it, the brand is for their music and who they are as an artist and what their look is going to be, all of those kind of things, having a vision for their music and where they want to be, and the stereotype, and, well, I want to sell stadiums, man. Well, sure. Who doesn't? But it's like, as an artist, what is your track? What are you wanting to do? What steps are you taking to get you there? And great, so I think it's easy to presume that everybody you talk to is going to want to sell stadiums. And so it's about what are you plan? What is your plan? What music do you have in your repertoire? How are you releasing it? How does that music reflect your brand? And I think that, having the vision, communicating that vision forthrightly about your music and your desires within reason, and being able to say, here's what we've been doing, here's what we're doing to take our next steps, and hopefully you'll follow us and keep us in mind.
What are other things you think? Having vision, knowing who they are, successfully positioning their brand. What are other things? Well,
it's getting harder and harder to tour, but I think getting on stage and doing it, is the other one. Excuse me. I think getting out there and every night, dealing with inattentive audiences or people who don't want to hear your original music, and all of the rest, hostile audiences, it's like you got to get out there and learn how to manage the stage and manage the audience in front of you. And that's really key. It's harder and harder to do, but it's manageable if you have enough wherewithal for it. Most of the artists that I work with now book their own tours, and so it's in the realm of doable. And you don't need to wait for a plaid jacket agent to, they won't make the calls for you anyway. But if you're going to wait on them, you'll be waiting forever. So these are just things you have to do yourself. Going back to earlier on, all of these things are up to you. It's not up to somebody else. You, the artist. And nobody's going to do it for you except you, the artist. And at least wise in the beginnings, once you get to a point where maybe you're, earning some money, you can find somebody to help you carry the load. You can build your team a little bit, but in the beginning, it's you and you alone, and that's just how it has to be. And you just have to, take it step by step.
So we've listed brand positioning, vision. We've said getting out and touring. Why do you feel like why was that the second thing that you said?
Well, I wouldn't call anything in any order necessarily, because some people are farther developed in their songwriting and their artistry, and others do more club dates, and so it's but I think it all goes hand in hand. And of course, I mean, probably the top of the pyramid list is simply writing a damn good song. I think it's hard to deny a solid song. And so it's just, writing and being your own worst critic. And if not writing, if you don't write, then finding great songs that can represent who you are as an artist and a brand.
You've listened to a lot of music over your career. What are things that you look for immediately that you identify as a well-written song or a song that you feel like has potential?
Something that affects me in some way. I think that's about the best way to describe it. Something that hits me in some form or fashion. It doesn't have to make me cry. It doesn't have to make me laugh. It's just that affects me. That makes me think that, wow, that's a good turn, or that's a unique way to look at that theme. I think that in Nashville, the biggest problem Nashville has is one thing they do know well is how to write the same song over and over effing again. And anybody who doesn't do that is a friend of mine.
Right. Do you feel like that's something that interested you about FGL? Because, a lot of people will kind of shit on FGL for being bro country, starting that movement.
Oh,
but really, I mean, if you look at what they created as a career, like there were really just a lot of copycats, and they did something original that no one else had done in the past, and it took off, it exploded. Do you feel like that is an example of something where you just looked at it and you were like, well, okay, this isn't the same thing I've heard a million times?
Precisely. And when you're thinking, I can't remember what year it was when all that happened, 2013, 12, 13, 14, I can't remember. But at that time in country music's cycle, it was very sleepy, very slow, medium tempo. I love Lady Antebellum. I just use them as an example, not as a reason to not like that era. But
again, they were making that
leading the
popular.
charge. They were, and many, many others. So I don't want to
probably.
Yeah, I don't want to. I love them. I love them today, and I'm good friends. But and what I'll just say, it was kind of a sleepy kind of coast along music, and FGL all of a sudden came out, hit the hook from the very beginning, and bam, that song was off to the races, and it woke everybody up. And when I say everybody, I mean the fans, artists, all of that. When it became a record-breaking #1 song, all of that stuff. And the reason the industry hated it so much is it because it upended this comfortable, nice little system they had, verse, chorus, lunch, and they had to retool what they were doing in terms of how they wrote songs, how they produced songs, people who they needed to sign an A&R. And everybody was just like, okay, yeah. And then all of a sudden, everything changes, and what happened? What happened? Where do we go? What do we do? And people didn't like it so much because it disrupted their comfortable way of life.
I'm glad you brought that up. I feel like a defining characteristic of your career is your acceptance, or your ability to accept change. And you always seem to be taking be at a half step ahead, I feel like, in my opinion, whether that's, leaving terrestrial radio for SiriusXM, and then SiriusXM for a budding new platform, Spotify. Country's always, I feel like, 5-10 years behind pop music. This town's always feels like it's behind. I do a lot of content in town, and I've always felt like a lack of acceptance of like just current industry norms. Why do you think you've been able to do that? Why have you been able to accept? How have you been able to accept change and commit to that?
It's always been easy because any change in the music industry in general is consumer driven, not industry driven. And so when tastes change in the consumer area of consumption and purchasing and artist favorites and all that stuff, it's none of my business to say, well, you should like George Jones, by golly, you shouldn't like Kenny Rogers or whoever it was. I'm showing my age there. But, it's like, it's one of these things where it's like, or that's not country, that's pop. Or what, all of these arguments over the years of what is and isn't country and what should and should be a country song and all of that stuff, I always thought was just rubbish anyway, because whatever it is, it is. I mean, and so all along the way, the types and styles have changed. and it continues to go on. It continues to grow. And, I myself like a good old fashioned, broken heart, drinking, cheating song, from the 60s, as anyone else. But, I don't live there. I live in where music is today. And the only way to get there is to accept and understand the evolutions of consumer tastes and what people want. And, don't resist giving them what they want. And a lot of people say, well, that's not right. That's and I said, well, okay, go ahead. That's cool. But at the end of the day, it's the consumers that are going to make those determinations, not me, not some A&R person or GM at a record label. They have to act and react to what the consumers are wanting, or else they'll not be around anymore.
Yeah, I feel like I run into this constantly in content where I am working with or consulting artists that want to just be able to sit in their dark car and sing their song acoustic or lip sync their song acoustic, and their fans just accept that. Just take that and love them for that. And I think I've found it difficult to try to convince them otherwise. Not that that's necessarily my job, but how I think my heart is that I want them to care more about what their fans want, and be more of, and look at it more of as a service to the fans, and in service to the fans, this music that they're why have you always, what ways have you stayed consumer driven, and why has that been important to you?
Well, if you're going to continue to be viable in the music business, it's changing. I mean, it's like 45s, LPs, 8 tracks, cassettes, all the way up to CDs and whatever. Now it's streaming, and I think that FM radio, AM radio, it's like it's always changing, and if you just don't act with that, you're just going to be left in the dust. It's simple as that. And I think that you touched on probably something I should have mentioned, but forgot. But that's really probably next to knowing who the heck you are, is dedicating yourself to making the fans happy. Because I think that people do get too introspective on who they are as artists and what I do as an artist, and it really doesn't matter in many respects. I mean, you got to have your integrity and your heart and your soul, what you want to do, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to keep your fans happy and cater to your fans and make them feel like a part of your world. And if you treat them, treat them like, arm's length, or don't make them feel like, they want to have a beer with you, they're not going to really go the extra minute. And that's all it takes. Go the extra minute to find your music. And I think that those are key elements in artists today. And like I said, I just want to do a live feed and all that, and that's cool. I mean, that's part of it. But if that's all you're doing, it's you're not being a 3-dimensional person to yourself as an artist or to your fans. And I think that it's hard work, because you got to find your fans in order to cater to them. And then after that, it's harder work to keep them happy. So, and I think that that's really, you're in a customer service position, if you will, as an artist, probably more so than you've ever had to be, because again, hearkening back to the old days of radio where, a manager would sign you get signed to a label, you'd be on a tour bus, and you didn't have to cater that way, because you built your audience through other mechanisms, radio, touring and all that, and it wasn't developing a one-on-one relationship like artistry and building artistry is today. And that's the unique difference. And that's what a lot of people have yet to be able to reckon with as they try to develop their music and whatever audience that they want. That it's, there's nothing automatic anymore.
Yeah. Something that, so I come to Nashville by way of the military. So kind of a hard left pivot into a completely different career. I feel like what I value about that is I feel like it gives me a little bit of an outsider's perspective on things. And something that's fascinated me since I got here and confused me is that Nashville seems very obsessed with itself. And I think that breeds a culture where artists are obsessed with Nashville and what people in Nashville think of them and what they think they should be doing, and distracts them from dedicating, as you said, dedicating themselves to making their fans happy.
It's I've said this all my life, or not all my life, but many years, that one of the great things about Nashville is the entire country music universe is located in a 3-block area. The worst things about Nashville is that the Nashville music universe is located in a 3-block area. It's a proving ground for groupthink that really is not helpful in many occasions. And I think that kind of groupthink kind of spreads its way through wherever it spreads. And next thing you know, everybody's thinking the same thing because that's what we're supposed to do here. And I think that, that's probably, my least favorite attribute about Nashville. Is that it is kind of insider, and even though people, everybody's helpful and friendly, that's true. But yeah, hey, you want to get inside a label and get a meeting? Well, good luck. You want to, and I get it. You got 800,000 people here trying to break through. So, I understand the limitations. But on the other hand, it's a closed society in many regards, and I try to help people realize that. And hey, I or somebody else can't just call producer X and say, hey, can we have a meeting? It's just not that easy. And so I think that insular, kind of thinking, is really holds Nashville back. The other thing that probably in today's terms, that continues to hold it back and creators back and the producers back, songwriters back, is algorithms of DSPs and TikTok or whatever, because the algorithms don't have a future look. They have a backward look. And everything looks backward, and so it creates, if you want to chase the algorithm, all it does is create mediocrity, because it just creates the same rhythm, the same beat, the same cadence all the way through it, where everything starts sounding like a flat line. And I think everybody chasing that, and I can understand why the chase, because that's what you do. You got to find the algorithm, and it discourages somebody who wants to be different, do something sonically unique, because the algorithm's not built for it. And so it's their, that's another thing, is people just kind of chase mediocrity through the algorithm.
What do you think are the ways that we can encourage artists to take chances, try something unique, and that makes sense for them to do?
Well, I think that a lot of it just depends on who they are as artists, first and foremost. And the hardest thing for people to do is figure out who they are and what they want to do and how they want to brand their music and what their music is and what that's going to mean to the world. Not just, I got this song, it's, and so, I think that, and not everybody is going to be factoring into, well, being unique and one of a kind and stomping the algorithms. But I just think that you just have to be unabashedly, unashamedly you. And whoever that is, whatever that is, whatever your heart and soul drives you musically, and wherever it takes you, you just have to be unafraid, committed, and you and only you, and house all of that in your music, your persona, and all of that. And I think that's really the key bottom line. If you want to play, I don't know, the zither, go ahead, or whatever. It's like, and I always tell people that I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't write a song, but you know what? I could probably find a few people out there in the world who would follow me as an artist. Even I could do that.
Do you feel like algorithms help you connect once you have chosen that path and that sound and that unique approach and vision? Do you think the algorithms help you find the people that are interested in that?
I don't know, because all I ever got from algorithms was the same old crap, so same old crap from new artists coming in and same old crap from catalog music that sounded the same. And so I've never been fed anything innovative from an algorithm. It's always been something else. So I think, if you find your way into it, it can help certainly raise your streams and hopefully raise your listeners and all of that stuff. So I'm not going to say that it's not a way to find more fans. I just think that it's a path to total sameness that I think at the end of the day is not long-term sustainable. Right. There are only a few people in Nashville today who can write the same song 85 times and still make it work. And those numbers are diminishing, too. So, I think that at some point it's gonna have to correct. And I think that, and just being unapologetic in who you are and what you're doing is the case. And if your objective is to follow the algorithm, then Godspeed. Yeah. If you're out there wanting to do your own thing, Godspeed. It's like, be who you are and chase it relentlessly.
Yeah. One last thing. I don't know. How have you approached your career, and like, what do you feel like is unique about that approach?
All I've ever done about the job I'm doing, the people I work with, artists I work with, is I give a shit, and I care about their well-being, and I care about their dreams and what they want to achieve with their dreams. And it's something that I feel for them. And I just, I always have, that's always been the source of my joy in seeing and helping others along the way, whoever that is, and that's what I continue to do today. And it's those things make me happy, seeing them do well as a result of their effort, their hard work, and whatever I'm able to do along the way to point them properly. It's and I just always never took my position too seriously. I always worked to have time for somebody if they wanted to pull me aside and chat, and I just tried to be respectful, kind, of service, and whatever, and all of that just has been a part of, and innately, it's not something I've thought about, but it's innately, that's what I've just strived to do over the years, and continue to do today.
well, I know that I can speak for myself, but probably many others. I feel like there are many of us that hope and wish that we can be more like you and carry ourselves in the way that you have across a 55-year career and still going.
Still going. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for your time today. One of the things that you said in our conversations about doing this was like, I don't know why you want to have me on. I don't know what we'll say. which I feel like I could keep talking to you for another couple hours. And maybe we'll do this again soon, but I appreciate the time that you have given. And thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. And as I've always said, I'm never short of an opinion. Call me up and I'll give you one.